Hey guys! Tonight we explore the quiet wonders of gentle science for sleep. Sunday Pancake syrup's slow drip rhythm. You hold the glass syrup bottle just above your plate's center, watching as a warm, amber rivulet climbs toward the stainless steel nozzle, and you probably won't resist another batch. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, post your location and local time below so we can share this slow, sticky moment together. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You tilt the bottle by barely a millimeter, and there at the nozzle's edge, a single golden drop forms, wobbling like a miniature sun setting on a horizon of silver. That drop's stubborn hold is governed by viscosity, the syrup's internal resistance to flow, which for pure maple syrup clocks in around 5,000 centipoise at room temperature, roughly 10 times thicker than honey. Mainstream fluid dynamics tells us that viscosity depends on temperature. Warm syrup at 95 to 35 degrees Celsius flows more freely than its cooler counterpart, making that drip formation feel like time's heartbeat slowing and speeding with each fraction of a degree. It's the same principle that keeps lava lamps gliding in dreamy oscillations, warm globs rising until cool, then gently sinking back in a measured, hypnotic dance. Between your slow breaths, you notice a faint, sweet vapor rising from the bottle's neck, a volatile chorus of water molecules and aromatic phenolics drifting into your senses. Fringe chefs sometimes infuse their syrups with a whisker of bourbon or a whisper of citrus zest, claiming this flavor's steam amplifies the perceived sweetness by layering volatile esters in the air. Whether these flamboyant infusions truly coax more aroma or merely dazzle guests with cocktail flair, chefs still debate the balance between tradition and culinary theater. The drop swells, held fast by surface tension's delicate web, until gravity's pull finally wins. That battle between cohesive forces and gravitational force is a mainstream science fact. Surface tension for syrup measures around 60 millinewtons per meter, just enough to sculpt the drop into a near-perfect sphere before it descends. You remember that caramel crackle from last week's brunch, and you grin at how similar physics underlie both the molten sugar's acoustic pop and this syrup's silent sculpting. As the drop loosens, a thin neck of syrup stretches between bottle and bead, thinning until it snaps in a microsecond flourish, an event scientists call capillary breakup. You feel a tiny tickle in your fingertips at the brief shiver of motion, like the echo of a wind chime's final chime before stillness. Fringe physicists have used high-speed cameras to capture these moments in exquisite slow motion, insisting that such liquid pearls reveal universal scaling laws across scales from inkjet droplets to ocean spray. They argue that by studying syrup, one can unlock secrets relevant to fuel injection and even raindrop formation. Whether these sticky experiments scale up to industrial complexities or remain charming desktop curiosities, fluid mechanics experts still debate the universality of droplet dynamics across materials. You set the bottle upright and savor the tactile memory of that drop's formation, knowing that each drip to come will follow the same secret choreography: warm, viscous, tension-shaped, then released into the world. It's a cozy ritual, like watching a grandfather clock's pendulum swing, each drip time-stamping lazy Sunday mornings. A light joke drifts through your mind. If only my to-do list could drip off as slowly as this syrup. But you're content in this deliberate pace, aware that some mornings deserve to be savored one drop at a time, each one a tiny lesson in physics and patience. You lean closer, eyes tracing the bottle's rim for any stray glint of residue, and marvel at how this simple moment marries everyday breakfast routine with intricate natural phenomena. It's science unspooling in sweet, amber beats inviting you to slow down, breathe, and let gravity's gentle hand guide you toward serenity. You cradle the bottle and note how its thick glass walls insulate the syrup's warmth. Mainstream heat transfer tells us that glass's thermal conductivity is about 1 mofan low enough that the syrup's temperature stays steady, ensuring each drop shares the same velvety viscosity. Touching the bottle's side, you feel only gentle warmth, not scalding heat, a comforting reminder that physical properties can be engineered for tactile pleasure as much as taste. Between slow sips of coffee at your side, you reflect on syrup bottle geometry, the narrow neck and tapered spout guide flow, creating a controlled drip rather than a sudden flood. Engineers still debate optimal nozzle designs for viscous fluids. Some propose conical nozzles, while others champion orifice geometry to fine-tune flow rate. Yet here, the classic fluted spout feels just right, balancing capacity with precision, so each drop visits your pancake plate without runaway dribbles. A subtle hiss escapes as air replaces the missing syrup volume inside the bottle, a whisper of pressure equilibration. Mainstream fluid statics explains that as the drop departs, internal pressure dips slightly below atmospheric, drawing air bubbles upward in a gentle sigh. You momentarily catch sight of a tiny bubble rising through the amber liquid, a miniature submarine surfacing in sweet seas. Fringe home chemists sometimes install micro vents in their bottles to amplify or mute this audible bubble chase, claiming it adds an ASMR dimension to syrup dispensing. Whether these vents make mornings more soothing or simply gimmick up the ritual, acoustics researchers still debate the threshold where mechanical sounds become truly relaxing rather than distracting. As the bottle's contents slowly diminish, you watch the syrup's meniscus retreat, clinging to the curved walls in a slender arc. Capillary action, governed by adhesive forces between syrup and glass, lifts the liquid slightly above the bulk level. That molten arc reminds you of lunar phase diagrams, curving silhouettes floating against dark backgrounds. Page-turners in sensory science sometimes point to capillary rise of sugary fluids as a model for plant xylem transport, albeit at vastly different scales. Chemists still debate whether sugar solution models can yield insights into biological fluid transport. But for now, you're content to see this simple capillary arc as a quiet arc of slow mornings. Another drop forms, and you feel a spark of anticipation, an odd thrill in awaiting something so small. Mainstream psychology cites reward anticipation even in minor events. The brain's dopamine pathways light up at the prospect of rewards, however trivial they may be. That little burst of neurochemical excitement makes each syrup drop feel special, an active pause in the morning's routine. Fringe behaviorists propose drip-based mindfulness exercises, counting each drop as it lands to foster focused attention. Whether you could turn pancake syrup into a meditative metronome, or simply savor the tiny thrill. Mindfulness researchers still debate the line between ritual and routine. You smile at your own reverie and gently tap the bottle's base to encourage the next drop, like coaxing ripples in a still pond. That touch transmits a brief vibration through the syrup, momentarily thinning the neck and hastening detachment. It's a playful micro-experiment in fluid dynamics. Your fingertip becomes an actuator, shaping drop timing by adjusting local pressure. Engineers who study inkjet printers face the same principles. Tiny pressure pulses eject droplets in precise patterns, painting ink into words or images. Here, you're writing morning's sweetest lines in maple script. As the next drop finally detaches, You follow its path with your gaze, feeling gratitude for gravity's constant guidance. Each drop's journey from bottle to pancake is a tiny voyage, a testament to the interplay of molecular stickiness, cohesive sculpting, thermal whispers, and gravitational grace. And as you repeat this ritual, you weave science and savor into a seamless tapestry, each thread glinting with golden promise. You lean forward, eyes fixed on the syrup's neck as it stretches ever so slim between the bottle's nozzle and the burgeoning drop, a liquid filament glowing in amber tension. In this delicate moment of drop formation dynamics, you witness slender filaments narrowing under competing forces. On one side, viscosity resists the stretch, while surface tension strives to minimize surface area, pulling the fluid into a sphere. Mainstream fluid mechanics teaches that this interplay follows the Rayleigh plateau instability. A cylindrical liquid column becomes unstable when its length exceeds its circumference, pinching off into individual droplets to reduce energy. You feel the quiet suspense of physics unfolding in slow motion, each millimeter of filament contraction, a testament to nature's drive toward equilibrium. As the filament thins, you notice that its diameter shrinks until it's barely a hair's width, then suddenly snaps, catapulting the drop downward in a microsecond finale. That pinch-off event generates a minute pressure wave that ripples back up the filament, a phenomenon known as the bead-on-string effect. Fringe experimentalists sometimes introduce glycerin or xanthan gum into syrup recipes to exaggerate these filaments, creating elongated syrup tethers that dangle dramatically before detaching. They claim the spectacle resembles carnivorous tentacles or jellyfish tendrils, adding theatrical flair to breakfast presentations. Whether these additives enhance the dining experience by crafting Instagram-worthy visuals or simply muddy the purity of maple flavor. Culinary chemists still debate the trade-offs between aesthetic drama and taste integrity. Your fingers twitch with anticipation as the neck's final millimeter fractures, forming satellite droplets, tiny secondary beads that sometimes accompany the primary drop. You recall that mainstream inkjet technology exploits satellite formation to achieve precise dot placement, controlling nozzle shape and driving voltage to suppress unwanted satellites. In your syrup ritual, those errant microdrops scatter across the plate's surface, creating miniature amber puddles that glint in morning light. You can't help but find charm in these accidental embellishments, a reminder that even tiny instabilities yield delightful imperfections. So, between steady breaths, you sense the subtle sound of filament breakup, a whisper softer than a pin drop. That almost inaudible click arises from rapid retraction of the broken threads against the nozzle's rim, a frictional murmur too faint for many microphones to capture. In fringe acoustics circles, hobbyists position contact microphones on syrup bottles to record these whisper pops, then play them back at 0.01x speed, unveiling a hidden ASMR symphony of liquid threads snapping and rebounding. They suggest this slowed-down syrup tear can double as a sleep aid, coaxing listeners into a trance of fragile unspooling. Whether this ultra-slow sonic revelation holds genuine relaxation benefits or simply caters to hyper-focus seekers, sound therapists still debate the boundary between auditory intrigue and sleep disruption. You proceed with measured patience, tracking the subtle wobble of the nascent drop before it detaches. Mainstream high-speed photography shows that droplets often exhibit slight oscillations, elliptical distortions, that ring like tiny bells before they settle into a spherical shape. That ringing is governed by the droplet's natural frequency, calculable from its volume, surface tension, and density of RR3. where Celsius is surface tension, Osh density, and R droplet radius. While you won't crunch these numbers mid-drip, you sense the drop's brief shape-shifting as an ephemeral animation of physical laws. As gravity finally wins, the drop tears free, leaving behind thin, syrupy tail that recoils into the bottle, a visual echo of the drop's departure. That recoil demonstrates elastic behavior. At a liquid interface, the next surface energy converts back into kinetic energy, pulling fluid inward. Fringe mixologists sometimes tune the syrup's sugar concentration to adjust recoil speed, claiming that slower recoil enhances presentation by showing off syrup's elasticity, so they might mention viscoelastic brag points, as though slower snapback confers artisanal pedigree. Whether such concentration tweaks deliver noticeable visual flair or fall prey to observer bias. Food scientists still debate the perceptual thresholds for viscoelastic effects in culinary fluids. Between one drop's fall and the next's rise, you can't help but marvel at the filament's grand finale, a tiny explosion of droplets and ripples that mark the micromechanical crescendo before silence. You feel a soft thrill that such a commonplace act, dispensing syrup, contains a hidden tableau of instabilities, oscillations, and energy transformations worthy of laboratory scrutiny. It's a reminder that complexity hides within simplicity, waiting for patient eyes to decode its patterns. You blink, and a new drop begins, swelling at the nozzle's lip. You think back to that first tear-off and find yourself anticipating the next, like an audience waiting for the climactic drumbeat in a lullaby. That anticipation itself is grounded in neuroscience. The brain's dopaminergic reward system responds not only to rewards, but to cues that predict them, releasing dopamine at the moment of anticipation. You feel a gentle dopamine whisper as you watch the next droplet's profile bloom, each crest of anticipation smoothing the path toward that sweet, sticky reward. Chemists still debate whether the syrup's sugar composition ratio of sucrose, glucose, and fructose alters the drop formation profile in perceptible ways, or if such effects remain buried beneath viscosity's dominant influence. You imagine running parallel tests with varying syrup grades, noting minute differences in filament thickness or snap-off timing. Yet for now, you relish the default pure maple, unadulterated, a slow-motion showcase of droplet dynamics acting out behind your syrup jar's glossy facade. As that next drop separates, you follow its slender tail collapsing back into the bottle's belly, a tender homecoming for every stray syrup molecule. The cycle repeats, each iteration a microcosm of fluid mechanics, viscosity resisting, gravity drawing, surface tension sculpting, and inertia rebounding. In this tiny ritual, you find a universe of gentle science, each drop a stanza in an ongoing ode to the measured cadence of sweet mornings. You watch the newly formed drop hover at the nozzle's brink, its surface glistening like a miniature amber globe, and you note how surface tension weaves its magic, sculpting that drop into a near-perfect sphere. Surface tension arises because molecules at the liquid surface have fewer neighboring bonds, pulling inward and minimizing surface area, a mainstream fact quantified as roughly 60 millinewtons per meter for maple syrup at room temperature. It's this inward pull that counteracts gravity just long enough for the drop to grow before succumbing, creating that tranquil moment of suspended animation you savor between breaths. As you focus, you see tiny ripples on the drop's surface, subtle oscillations triggered by the next pinch-off event a moment ago. Those oscillations ring at the drop's natural frequency, akin to a bell's resonance, before damping out via viscous forces. Fringe fluid artists sometimes photograph these liquid bells under high-speed strobe lights, capturing paints dripping in elliptical dances. They claim these images reveal the hidden harmonies of everyday fluids, yet physicists still debate whether such artistic tableaus yield new insights beyond confirming classical oscillation theory. You lean closer, imagining the drop's skin as a dynamic membrane under tension. That membrane's strength depends on temperature, composition, and dissolved air content. Warmer syrup reduces surface tension slightly, making drops more prone to irregular shapes before snapping back into spheres. Mainstream chemistry shows a decrease of about 0.1 sunbeams per degree Celsius. It's akin to the way heating a soap film makes it more elastic, allowing bubbles to stretch further before popping. You can almost feel the thermal softening of your syrup's molecular skin as you cradle its bottle. Between serene ticks of your clock, you notice a fringe claim in a culinary form whisking a pinch of lecithin into syrup purportedly stabilizes surface tension, creating smoother, creamier droplet edges. Lecithin, a phospholipid emulsifier, can reduce surface tension by up to 20% in food systems. Yet chefs and food scientists still debate whether its addition moves beyond novelty into genuine textural improvement, or if it simply dilutes the syrup's pure maple character. You muse on whether a bit of kitchen alchemy might heighten this drop's sculpted elegance, or if tradition's simplicity holds its own quiet perfection. You grasp that surface tension does more than shape drops, it governs wetting behavior, too. The advancing contact angle where syrup meets pancake surface often sits around 30 degrees, indicating strong adhesion relative to cohesion. This low angle ensures the drop flattens gently on impact, spreading in a delicate bloom rather than beating off. Mainstream surface science connects contact angle to the interplay of interfacial tensions, liquid-solid, solid-air, and liquid-air via Young's equation. It's a reminder that every aspect of this slow breakfast ritual is underpinned by elegant physico-chemical balances. As the drop finally releases, you follow its descent with rapt attention, aware that surface tension will again reassert itself upon collision. Those cohesive forces minimize surface creation, causing the drop to merge smoothly into the syrup pool atop your pancake, resisting splatter in favor of a gentle union. Fringe pancake artists sometimes sculpt grooves or shallow wells in their pancakes, manipulating local curvature to guide surface tension-driven flows into ornamental patterns. They call it flavor channeling, but food scientists still debate whether such designed topographies meaningfully affect taste distribution or simply look Instagrammable. You feel a soft sense of awe at how surface molecules tirelessly tug inward, crafting each drop's silhouette before release. It's the same force that lets water striders glide atop ponds, that causes tears to bead on a glass lens, and that shapes every soap bubble's perfect roundness. Here in your breakfast moment, it lends pancake syrup its slow drip poetry, a whispered reminder that minute forces orchestrate profound beauty. Between light jokes about needing a surface tension sweater to stay warm this winter, you reflect on how this singular force unites countless natural phenomena under a shared principle. Whether dripping syrup, forming raindrops, or blowing bubbles at a child's birthday party, surface tension elegantly curates shape and flow. And in this kitchen lullaby, you witness its artistry in golden slow motion. Another quip surfaces I never knew I'd find molecular choreography in my Sunday brunch. Yet you smile at that surprise, grateful that science's subtle forces weave into the fabric of everyday life. As the next drop forms, you feel reconnected to a lineage of awakenings where each morning's first drizzle reminds you of nature's quiet yet profound rhythms. You exhale softly as the cycle continues, surface tension sculpting drop after drop in an unending micro-performance designed to cradle you toward rest. In this delicate balance of forces, you discover a gentle science that, like syrup itself, flows smoothly into the grooves of your mind, leaving behind a sweet trace of wonder. You let the drop slip free, and your eyes follow its steady arc downward. Each millimeter of descent a graceful ballet under gravity's gentle pull. As it falls, the syrup droplet accelerates at 9.8 meters per second. Squared mainstream physics tells us that in still air, any object's acceleration due to gravity is constant, regardless of mass, meaning this tiny sphere of viscous sweetness falls just as predictably as a pebble or a raindrop. You almost feel the pull yourself, a silent tug guiding both syrup and soul toward the pancake waiting below. Between breaths, you notice how the drop seems to hesitate ever so slightly before it falls, as if savoring its captivity. That brief stillness is where gravitational force and surface tension momentarily balance the weight of the drop. Its mass times 9.8 atmos 2 barely overcomes the upward force of surface tension at the nozzle. Fringe syrup connoisseurs sometimes adjust bottle angle by fractions of a degree to modulate this hang time, claiming that longer suspension enhances anticipation and accentuates flavor notes through olfactory conditioning. Whether this micro-adjustment truly shifts taste perception or simply heightens the psychological drama of breakfast, sensory scientists still debate the influence of anticipatory delay on flavor intensity. You watch the drop's shape morph as it gathers speed, stretching from a perfect sphere into a slightly ellipsoidal form. That deformation arises because air resistance, though minimal at such tiny scales, begins to act on the droplet. Mainstream fluid dynamics quantifies drag force on small spheres using Stokes's law, Fd al 6 pm, where m is air viscosity, r the drop's radius, and v its velocity. In practice, a 3 mm syrup drop attains terminal velocity of only a few centimeters per second, making its descent remarkably serene compared to raindrops racing toward the earth. You almost hear the drop whispering through the air, its plummet a quiet testament to balance and restraint. Between sip and sigh, you catch a fringe reference to drip acoustics, where home sound scientists record the faint whoosh of each drop's fall with ultra-sensitive microphones, then amplify and echo them to craft ambient audio tracks meant to imprint tranquil downward rhythms into the mind. They assert that such gravity-synchronous soundscapes can entrain breathing patterns, guiding listeners into deep relaxation. Whether these whispered rushes truly lull you toward sleep or simply tickle your curiosity, auditory researchers still debate the threshold for natural sound to become effective sleep aids. As the drop nears its target, you see it glint in the morning light, refracting tiny rainbows through its amber body, an effect of total internal reflection inside the liquid sphere combined with surface curvature. Mainstream optics notes that light entering a spherical droplet refracts at the air-liquid interface, bends within, and partially reflects off the far side before exiting, creating luminous caustics on the pancake's surface. That prismatic dance feels like micro-sunlight illuminating your breakfast. Tiny spectral secrets revealed in each drop. You sense a playful quirk of physics on exceptionally calm mornings. The drop descends in an almost perfect straight line, but on breezy days, it can drift by a few millimeters, tracing a gentle parabola. That lateral displacement arises from microscopic air currents, thermal plumes rising from warm butter, or drifting from your fan, nudging the drop off course. Fringe macro photographers sometimes stage drops with coordinate grids beneath them, mapping their curved paths as visualizations of air convection patterns in real time. Whether these home experiments yield rigorous data or merely charming visuals, fluid dynamicists still debate the fidelity of everyday analog flow mapping. Your anticipation peaks in the final millisecond as the drop's bottom edge first kisses the pancake's surface. That impact initiates a capillary inertia interaction. The drop's kinetic energy converts into surface waves that propagate across the syrup pool atop the pancake. Mainstream impact studies reveal that such droplets generate crown-like rings when splashing on rigid substrates, but on soft, porous pancake textures, the impact is cushioned and muted, producing only gentle concentric ripples. The result is a soft, circular bloom of sweetness that spreads outward like the echo of a tiny meteorite landing in maple syrup. Between that soft bloom and the next pause, you quip to yourself, "Gravity. Thanks for the drop-off service." It's a light moment, yet it underscores the reliability of nature's pull, whether syrup, raindrop, or apple from a tree. Gravity's hand guides all things earthward with unfailing predictability. As the ripples subside, you watch the syrup's dark amber form stain the pancake's surface, flowing into crevices under intermolecular adhesion forces. Yet in this moment of union drop meets pancake, you're most aware of the journey, a deliberate descent shaped by gravity, tempered by drag and tension, culminating in a gentle harvest. Each drop's fall is a quiet ritual of physics in motion, a gravitational lullaby guiding you and the syrup home. You lean back slightly and let your eyes follow the syrup droplet's journey through the quiet air, noticing that it doesn't descend in a perfectly straight line, but sways ever so gently, tracing a subtle arc as if dancing to an inaudible breeze. That small lateral drift arises from air resistance, or drag. Mainstream aerodynamics tells us that even at the scale of a few millimeters, the viscosity of air, about 1.8 by 10^5 psi, exerts a frictional force on falling droplets, given approximately by Stokes's law for low Reynolds numbers, F(d)(6 where E is air viscosity, the droplet radius, and V its velocity. This drag slows the drop's fall and allows microscopic eddies, tiny air currents rising from the warm pancake or drifting from a nearby fan, to nudge the droplet sideways in graceful curves. It's like watching a leaf drift in a soft draft, its path shaped by forces too mild for human senses, yet potent enough to guide every drop. Between slow breaths, you sense the room's thermal plumes at play, warm air rising from the hot pancakes, and the syrup bottle generates tiny convection currents, invisible ribbons of flow that brush past the droplet on its descent. Fringe fluid visualization hobbyists sometimes release harmless smoke or use fine talcum powder in a darkened kitchen, then illuminate the plumes with a gentle lamp to reveal these whisper-light convection streams. They claim this breakfast wind tunnel technique offers a meditative glimpse into otherwise unseen airflow patterns. Whether such low-tech flow mapping yields valuable insights into indoor ventilation or simply charms viewers with its ghostly tendrils, home craftsmen and aerodynamicists still debate the fidelity of these ambient visualization methods. You watch as the drop drifts toward a warm spot on the pancake, where the surface temperature, perhaps a few degrees higher from residual heat, steers the flow just enough for the syrup to land precisely where you hoped. That gentle guidance reminds you that air resistance isn't merely a retarding force, but a sculptor of trajectories, modulated by room layout, object temperature, and subtle pressure gradients. Mainstream environmental control systems in experimental fluid labs account for such microflows when conducting high-precision droplet studies, often enclosing setups in still air chambers to eliminate background drift. Yet here, you embrace every whisper of air, inviting the minute currents into your syrup ritual. As the droplet glides, you recall a fringe barista trick using a small desktop humidifier set to low output to generate a controlled, barely perceptible airflow around the syrup dispenser. The goal is to influence drop trajectory into decorative pancake channels or spin patterns without touching the syrup itself. They call this vapor steering, claiming that coupling humid air currents with syrup drops adds a dynamic flourish to breakfast presentation. Purists and cafe engineers still debate whether such vapor-assisted pouring crosses into gimmick territory or represents innovative sensory theater. But you can't deny the whimsical appeal. You follow the drop's final path, noting a slight zigzag as it meets a minor temperature differential between pancake ridges, warm areas, inducing upward flow and cooler hollows drawing air downward. That nuanced behavior is a mainstream example of natural convection. Warmer air expands, becomes buoyant, and rises, while cooler air sinks to replace it, generating circulation loops. Even in a small kitchen environment, these thermal-driven currents shape droplet descent, a reminder that fluid dynamics spans from the vastness of atmospheric cells down to single dinner table interactions. Between each syrup drop, you allow yourself a light joke. I always wanted to see if pancake syrup could chase its own tail in a miniature tornado. Yet, your curiosity remains gentle, content to watch nature's slow choreography, not force it. You imagine setting up delicate tracer particles, perhaps rose pollen, or ultralight glitter loosely scattered around the plate's edge, then observing how the droplet's passage disturbs them, hinting at local air currents. Fringe sensory designers sometimes embed these particles for interactive culinary experiences, but sensory scientists still debate the impact of such interventions on taste perception versus simple visual novelty. You lean forward and feel the fan's soft hum mixing with the sound of your own breathing, an ambient backdrop that both masks and amplifies the drop's subtle whisper. In psychoacoustics, masking occurs when a louder or more continuous sound conceals quieter noises. Yet here, the fan's gentle white noise frames the drop's faint plip and interplay that heightens your awareness rather than dulling it. Mainstream auditory research shows that moderate background noise can enhance focus on specific acoustic events by providing a reference level, a principle used in offices and public spaces to improve concentration. Perhaps your fan is the unsung hero of syrup science, setting the stage for each drop's moment to shine. As the droplet nears the pancake again, you notice a slight arch in its path, reminiscent of a raindrop falling on a breezy day. That parabola, though tiny, echoes the same laws that govern wind-driven rainfall patterns, scaled down to your breakfast plate. Fringe weather modelers sometimes study such miniature analogs using micro-scale droplets as proxies for rain formation in urban canyons, arguing that tabletop experiments can yield insights into pollutant dispersion and microclimate behavior. Whether these pancake-scale simulations truly map to atmospheric complexities or simply offer a playful classroom demo, climatologists still debate the extent to which small-scale analogs inform large-scale models. You reach out with a clean index finger, gently tapping the plate's rim to shift a faint air current, then watch how the next syrup drop tilts its flight, subtly veering toward the pancake's edge. It's a tactile conversation between you and the fluid environment your tap sets air in motion. The droplet reads that cue, and gravity seals its final path. This gentle interplay underscores that even simple breakfast rituals invite you to become an experimenter, influencing variables in real time. Between the next drips, you close your eyes for a heartbeat, imagining yourself suspended in a larger fluid field, ocean currents, atmospheric tides, even the slow drift of continental plates. Each syrup droplet's sway becomes a metaphor for the interconnected flows shaping our world, from micro to macro scales. It's comforting to know that these same physical principles animate both weather patterns and weekend brunch rituals, uniting realms of science under a common, drifting rhythm. You open your eyes and smile at the bottle in your hand, aware that its simple pours have turned your kitchen into a microcosm of fluid dynamics. Every drop's slight detour is an homage to hidden airflow, surface tension, and the gentle pull of gravity, an orchestration of subtle forces dancing to a silent, syrupy symphony. And as the next drop forms, you lean in again, eager for another verse in this slow-motion ode to breakfast science. You lean in as the droplet nears its destination, eyes locked on the meeting of liquid and pancake, and you sense the moment of contact as a gentle micro-splash unfolds. Upon impact, the drop's kinetic energy converts into surface waves. Mainstream fluid dynamics labels this the capillary inertia regime, producing a soft, concentric ripple that radiates outward across the syrup pool. You watch the waves advance in perfect circles, their amplitude diminishing with radius as viscous damping absorbs energy, much like the way ripples fade on a still pond after a single pebble's toss. Between pulses, you catch tiny secondary Worthington jets, microscopic upward spikes of syrup that rise momentarily from the impact's center before collapsing back. These slender jets, fleeting yet graceful, result from the rebound of liquid forced inward by converging waves, an effect extensively studied in droplet surface interaction research. Fringe high-speed video enthusiasts freeze these jets mid-flight, claiming that each reveals unique syrup personality based on viscosity and drop height. Whether these tiny geysers hold practical value beyond mesmerizing visuals or simply entertain, fluid impact specialists still debate the influence of liquid rheology on jet formation. You feel the pancake's textured surface, tiny air pockets, and porous crumb cushioning the impact, preventing the dramatic crown splashes seen on rigid plates. Mainstream surface science notes that porous substrates absorb some impact energy, reducing splash height and increasing fluid infiltration. Here, the pancake acts like a natural sponge, dampening the drama of collision while inviting syrup to seep gently into its crevices. It's as if the pancake and droplet collaborate in a quiet duet, trading energy for delicious union. A light quip drifts into your mind. My pancake just asked for a hug, not a tsunami. You imagine the droplet testing its landing zone, then nestling into the pancake's pores, a tender touch rather than a forceful strike. That imagery underscores how substrate compliance shifts splash dynamics, choosing gentle ripples over cinematic eruptions. As the ripples fade, you note a fringe technique where culinary artists pre-score pancakes with concentric rings of fine ridges splash guides. They call them to choreograph syrup flow and ripple propagation. They assert these guides focus the impact waves into decorative patterns, like ringed mandalas of maple. Purists and chefs still debate whether such micro-sculpting enhances flavor distribution or merely serves aesthetic whims. But you appreciate the ingenuity behind guiding physics with simple geometry. Between ripple cycles, you sense the pancake's warmth permeating the thin syrup layer, slightly reducing viscosity at the impact zone and broadening wave attenuation. That local temperature rise, perhaps a couple of degrees, lowers syrup viscosity by about 5%, softening ripple amplitude and smoothing wave fronts. It's another reminder that thermal and mechanical phenomena intertwine the pancake's residual heat, not only flavors your breakfast, but shapes the very physics of each drop's aftermath. You rest your fingertips on the plate's edge, feeling the faint tremor of ripple recoil beneath the ceramic, transmitted through the pancake. It's a subtle, tactile echo of the drop's descent and impact, akin to feeling distant thunder through the soles of your feet. In fringe sensory therapy, practitioners place vibration sensors on dinnerware to translate meal dynamics into haptic feedback, claiming the result deepens mindful eating. Whether this cross-modal approach feeds relaxation or simply distracts, sensory integration experts still debate its effectiveness. As the syrup pool smooths, you watch the next drop form above, knowing that the ritual of drip, fall, and ripple will unfold again. Each cycle feels like a heartbeat in a living organism, rhythmically pulsing and subsiding. And as you lean in for the next moment of impact, you carry forward the comforting knowledge that even the simplest breakfast action reveals a universe of fluid interplay, an intimate cascade of science and sensation, guiding you gently toward calm. You lean in as the droplet nears its destination, eyes locked on the meeting of liquid and pancake, and you sense the moment of contact as a gentle micro-splash unfolds. Upon impact, the drop's kinetic energy converts into surface waves. Mainstream fluid dynamics labels this the capillary inertia regime, producing a soft, concentric ripple that radiates outward across the syrup pool. You watch the waves advance in perfect circles, their amplitude diminishing with radius as viscous damping absorbs energy, much like the way ripples fade on a still pond after a single pebble's toss. It feels like a tiny sonic boomerang in slow motion, a soundless whisper of physics. Between pulses of graceful ripples, you catch sight of tiny secondary Worthington jets, microscopic upward spikes of syrup that rise momentarily from the impact's center before collapsing back. These slender jets, fleeting yet graceful, result from the rebound of liquid forced inward by converging waves, an effect extensively studied in droplet surface interaction research. Fringe high-speed video enthusiasts freeze these jets mid-flight, claiming that each reveals a unique syrup personality based on viscosity and drop height. Whether these miniature geysers hold practical value beyond mesmerizing visuals or simply entertain, fluid impact specialists still debate the influence of liquid rheology on jet formation and collapse. You feel the pancake's textured surface, tiny air pockets, and porous crumb cushioning the impact, preventing the dramatic crown splashes seen on rigid plates. Mainstream surface science notes that porous substrates absorb some impact energy, reducing splash height and increasing fluid infiltration over time. Here, the pancake acts like a natural sponge, dampening the drama of collision while inviting syrup to seep gently into its crevices. It's as if the pancake and droplet collaborate in a quiet duet, trading the drop's momentum for delicious union, each pour a welcoming harbor for sticky sweetness. A light quip drifts into your mind. My pancake just asked for a hug, not a tsunami. You imagine the droplet testing its landing zone before settling into the pancake's pores, a tender touch rather than a forceful strike. That imagery underscores how substrate compliance shifts splash dynamics, choosing gentle ripples over cinematic eruptions, turning each impact into an act of considerate embrace. As the ripples fade, you note a fringe culinary technique where pancake artists pre-score pancakes with concentric rings of fine ridges splash guides. They call them to choreograph syrup flow and ripple propagation. They assert these guides focus the impact waves into decorative patterns, like ringed mandalas of maple, and claim the resulting visuals elevate breakfast into a living artwork. Purists and chefs still debate whether such micro-sculpting enhances flavor distribution or merely serves aesthetic whims. But you can't help admiring the ingenuity behind using simple geometry to guide physics. Between ripple cycles, you sense the pancake's warmth permeating the thin syrup layer, slightly reducing viscosity at the impact zone and broadening wave attenuation. That local temperature rise, perhaps a couple of degrees, lowers syrup viscosity by about 5%, softening ripple amplitude and smoothing wavefronts. It's another reminder that thermal and mechanical phenomena intertwine. The pancake's residual heat not only flavors your breakfast, but shapes the very physics of each drop's aftermath. You rest your fingertips on the plate's edge, feeling the faint tremor of ripple recoil beneath the ceramic, transmitted through the pancake. It's a subtle tactile echo of the drop's descent and impact, akin to feeling distant thunder through the soles of your feet. In fringe sensory therapy, practitioners place vibration sensors on dinnerware to translate meal dynamics into haptic feedback, claiming the result deepens mindful eating and connects diners more intimately with their food. Whether this cross-modal approach feeds relaxation or simply distracts, sensory integration experts still debate its effectiveness in enhancing mealtime presence. As the syrup pool smooths back to calm, you watch the next drop form above, knowing that the ritual of drip, fall, and ripple will unfold again. Each cycle feels like a heartbeat in a living organism, rhythmically pulsing and subsiding. You marvel at how the same fundamental principles govern both grand ocean waves and these minuscule breakfast splashes: gravity, inertia, viscosity, and surface tension dancing together in unison. You catch yourself smiling at the thought that a single droplet's journey can illustrate universal laws of nature, linking your kitchen table to weather phenomena and even industrial spray processes. In aerospace engineering, for instance, fuel injectors rely on controlled droplet impacts to optimize combustion, turning syrupy science into rocket fuel analogies. Chemists still debate the scaling limits between syrup droplet behavior and high-temperature sprays, but you savor the interconnected tapestry of science stretching from pancakes to propulsion. Between these musings, you lean forward once more, ready for the next drop to make its quiet entrance. The promise of another tiny ripple grounds you in the moment, as if each drop writes a gentle punctuation mark in the sentence of your morning. And as the new droplet releases and arcs toward the pancake's welcoming surface, you feel gratitude for the simple wonders of capillary inertia and porous nourishment, a bedtime science lullaby woven in amber threads of sweet, slow syrup. You watch the syrup pool settle, its surface tension-defined edge glowing softly against the pancake's ridges, and you consider the moment when the liquid first meets the porous breakfast canvas, wetting and adhesion in perfect harmony. As the droplet coalesces with the syrup pool, adhesive forces between syrup molecules and pancake substrate draw the fluid into every microscopic crevice. Mainstream surface chemistry tells us that the contact angle where liquid meets solid determines spreading. A low angle below 30 degrees indicates strong wetting. So your maple syrup flattens and grips the pancake rather than beating. It's the same principle that allows water to climb into a paper towel's fibers. Yet here it delivers bittersweet flavor into every grainy nook. Your fingertip grazes the edge of the pancake, feeling its network of air pockets and cell walls, nature's own capillary channel system. Those tiny pores, on the order of 5,200 microns in diameter, act like miniature wicks, drawing syrup inward through capillary action. Fringe breakfast architects sometimes laser etch pancakes with microchannels before cooking, creating intricate syrup mazes that guide the flow in predetermined patterns. They call the result cerebral syrup engineering, claiming it elevates visual appeal and mouthfeel by controlling how fluid infiltrates texture. Whether these channelized pancakes truly optimize sweetness distribution or simply dazzle brunch crowds, food scientists still debate the practicality of pre-patterning batter at home versus traditional free-flow immersion. Between contemplative sips of tea, you notice the wetting front advancing imperceptibly, the dark syrup front pushing into lighter pancake territory, like ink spreading on parchment. That front propagation follows Washburn's equation, penetration distance proportional to the square root of time, driven by capillary pressure, balanced by viscous drag. In practice, you could measure how far the syrup travels in, say, 10 seconds, and witness capillary law in action on your plate. It's a quiet demonstration of fluid transport that parallels how plants draw water up roots, reminding you that breakfast fluidics share ancestry with botanical life. You lean forward, tracing the syrup's progress with your gaze as it radiates from the drop impact point, saturating pancake pores in concentric arcs. That saturation depth depends on pancake porosity, syrup viscosity, and time parameters quantified by scientists studying oil recovery in porous rocks or inkjet printing on paper. In these fields, Darcy's law governs flow through porous media volumetric flow rate proportional to pressure gradient, permeability, and inversely proportional to viscosity. Here, gravity and adhesion create the pressure gradient, and your pancake's crumb structure defines permeability. It's remarkable that pancake syrup transfer models mirror those used to extract crude oil or deliver pharmaceuticals through skin patches. Between these physics reflections, you recall a quirky fringe tip some syrup enthusiasts sprinkle a pinch of lecithin onto pancake surfaces, arguing that phospholipid emulsifiers enhance wetting by reducing surface tension at the fluid-solid interface. Lecithin, a natural surfactant, can lower contact angles and speed infiltration, creating an almost glossy spread that clings without dripping. Chefs still debate whether such additives cross the line from homage to manipulation, but you appreciate the playful impulse to tinker with interfacial chemistry in pursuit of perfect mouthfeel. Your eyes flicker between the spreading syrup and the pancake's exposed edges, noting how the fluid creates a darker, translucent sheen where it's absorbed, contrasting with dry, matte surfaces. That visual cue marks the degree of saturation, akin to soil moisture maps in agricultural science, where infrared sensors detect wet patches in fields. Perhaps one day your plate could be scanned to reveal syrup distribution. Heat maps gastronomy's own precision hydration mapping. Agricultural engineers still refine remote sensing techniques for moisture detection. Here, over pancakes, you glimpse a culinary analog on a far more delectable scale. As the syrup creeps outward, the wetting front slows, its leading edge flattening into a smooth meniscus shaped by the balance of adhesive and cohesive forces. That meniscus curvature creates a Laplace pressure difference, lower pressure, inside the curved interface, driving further penetration into dry pores. Pop science blogs sometimes illustrate this with colorful diagrams of liquid climbing glass capillaries. Today, you're a living witness to capillary pressure at work in breakfast form. Chemists still debate whether complex syrup mixtures full of sugars, minerals, and phenolics deviate significantly from pure water capillary behavior. But your senses detect only the pure wonder of spreading sweetness. Between gentle bites, you reflect on how uneven pancake topology creates anisotropic wetting syrup, flows faster along channels parallel to crumb grain, and more slowly across ridges. This directional dependence echoes textile wetting in fabric science, where water wicks differently along warp and weft threads. Fringe culinary researchers sometimes bake pancakes on grooved griddles to produce deliberate anisotropy. crafting channels that funnel syrup into designated tasting zones. Whether engineered pancake topology enhances syrup enjoyment or feels like over-engineering a simple pleasure. Gastronomers still debate the role of texture engineering in flavor design. You touch the pancake's edge again, feeling its initial dryness giving way to sticky warmth, and you appreciate how wetting transitions your plate from an inert canvas to a living medium. Each pore's embrace of syrup blends surfaces, uniting textures in an act of molecular hospitality. This slow infiltration feels meditative. One moment crystallizes in memory. The next dissolves into sweet unity, mirroring the pace of your breath as you relax into the morning ambiance. A light joke surfaces. If only my emails could be absorbed as quickly as this pancake so I never miss a sweet note. You imagine capillary-driven email delivery, tiny ink droplets vaporizing onto screens. Another playful chimera born of syrup gestation. As the spreading syrup reaches steady equilibrium, its outermost edge stabilizes, held in place by friction and adhesion against the pancake's slope. The fluid's final footprint becomes a map of molecular interactions, cohesion, balancing, adhesion, and gravity in a triumph of interfacial science. You lean back, satisfied by this moment's gentle unfolding, and you know that each bite will carry the signature of these fluid phenomena: wetting, wicking, capillary embrace, translating physics into sensory bliss. You lift your fork and gently pierce the pancake where the syrup has pooled, feeling the tines break through a mini syrup lagoon before entering the fluffy crumb. That tactile interaction, stylus to record analog, fork to pancake here, triggers a cascade of interfacial events. Syrup clings to the tines via adhesion, while the pancake's internal capillaries close around them with slight suction. Mainstream tribology tells us that static friction between two wet surfaces is influenced by the thickness of the liquid film and the roughness of each surface. Here, a film only a few hundred microns thick generates enough grip to hold syrup on your fork without immediately dripping it back onto the plate. Between bites, you notice how the syrup glistens under your kitchen's soft light, its surface tension maintaining a convex meniscus at the fork's tine edges. Fringe culinary scientists sometimes employ polarized light to reveal subtle flow patterns in syrup films, capturing the birefringence induced by shear during eating. They claim that the scratches left by a fork embody a unique syrup fingerprint, as individual as handwriting. Whether these flow patterns have gastronomic significance or simply satisfy aesthetic curiosity, optical physicists still debate the value of edible polarimetry as more than artistic flourishes. As you lift a syrup-laden forkful to your lips, you observe how the fluid's rheology affects mouthfeel. A thin, trailing strand of syrup stretches between pancake and tine, resisting breakage until you close the gap with precise lip-to-fork choreography. This viscoelastic behavior, where syrup exhibits both viscous flow and elastic recoil, derives from its complex sugar-water matrix. Mainstream rheometry characterizes such behavior with oscillatory shear tests, revealing a storage modulus that indicates syrup's ability to store and release elastic energy. That slight pull before snap-off adds a subtle tactile thrill to each bite, a whisper of physics on your taste buds. Between gentle sips of air, you recall a quirky fringe tip. Dipping your fork in cold water before piercing pancakes can briefly cool the syrup film on the tines, increasing its yield stress and preventing runaway drips. Kitchen hackers swear this chill hack keeps your lap safe from sticky mishaps. Whether such cooling tricks hold broad appeal or remain the province of experimental brunchers, culinary technologists still debate low-tech solutions for high-sensory meals. You take the bite, smiling as syrup and pancake merge on your tongue, and you sense how syrup's thermal conductivity about 0.5 Wm transfers warmth from the pancake into the liquid, elevating its temperature by nearly a degree Celsius in your mouth. That warmth amplifies flavor release, as heat increases the volatility of aroma compounds, flooding your olfactory receptors with sweet maple notes. Mainstream flavor chemistry confirms that a warmer medium enhances perception of fruity esters and vanillin in maple syrup, boosting sweetness without added sugar. It's a delicious intersection of thermodynamics and taste. Between bites, you hear the soft hum of your fan merging with the fork's clink against ceramic, creating an ambient metronome for your chewing rhythm. In fringe mindfulness workshops, facilitators encourage sound chewing, focusing on the auditory feedback of eating to heighten presence. They argue that tuning into each micro-sound snap, clink, swallow anchors attention more effectively than silent mastications. Cognitive scientists still debate whether such auditory cues enhance mindful eating or simply divert attention to external stimuli. As you chew, you notice how syrup's stickiness influences oral processing. Saliva mixes with sugar, reducing viscosity and smoothing texture, a process governed by lubrication theory. The saliva-syrup mixture's shear thinning behavior lowers friction between tongue and palate, creating a velvety mouthfeel. Mainstream oral tribology links these lubrication dynamics to perceived creaminess in dairy and texture in sauces, underscoring syrup's unexpected role as a natural texturizer. You savor how a pancake bite can become a lesson in soft matter physics and human physiology. Between each swallow, you recall a fringe experiment coating pancake sides with edible superhydrophobic sprays based on silica nanoparticles to repel syrup and create self-cleaning bites. Proponents tout the novelty, a pancake that stays dry until dipped. Yet food safety experts and gastronomic purists still debate whether such surface modifications belong on the breakfast table or in the pages of a sci-fi cookbook. You reach for another forkful, watching syrup thread once more, and appreciate how the simple act of eating transforms fluid science into sensory delight. Each bite threads together mechanics, thermodynamics, and biophysics, a reminder that even our most basic pleasures pulse with scientific wonder. You rest your fork beside your plate and pause, letting the aftertaste of syrup and pancake linger on your tongue as you reflect on how this slow drip ritual weaves into your memories. Each gentle drop, each measured ripple, has been more than breakfast. It's a portal to Sunday mornings long past. Mainstream cognitive neuroscience tells us that episodic memory consolidation often relies on sensory cues, smells, tastes, textures that reactivate hippocampal circuits, storing personal narratives. That first sweet note of maple triggers vivid scenes of childhood kitchens, where sunlight spilled across checkered linoleum and laughter echoed from family around the table. Between reflective breaths, you recall how taste and context entwine the buttery warmth of fresh pancakes, the soft clink of utensils on porcelain, and the syrup's amber glow catching the window's morning light. Fringe memory coaches speak of flavor anchors, where pairing a unique taste with a serene ritual can create a sensory bookmark in the mind, making it easier to revisit that calm state later. They suggest storing small packets of your favorite syrup to evoke this peaceful moment during stressful days. While psychologists still debate the strength and longevity of such anchors, you feel its power now, a comforting mental shortcut to tranquility. You close your eyes and let your senses drift. The syrup's stickiness, the pancake's fluffiness, the syrup's slow descent all converge in a multisensory tapestry that feels woven from soft focus nostalgia. Modern asides aside, This communion of flavor and feeling is a testament to how our brains tie emotion to sensory experiences. Mainstream effective neuroscience confirms that gustatory stimulation co-activates the amygdala and orbitofrontal cortex, regions involved in emotion and reward valuation, bathing even simple sweetness in the warm glow of positive affect. Between these neural insights, a playful thought surfaces: if only you could bottle this calm and savor it later like pancake syrup for your mind. You imagine carrying a vial of distilled memory, a single drop transported to days ahead when you need a moment of quiet. Fringe futurists speculate about digital memory capsules, where sensory recordings, soundscapes, scents, tastes could be replayed to induce specific moods. While still speculative, scientists are already exploring virtual reality simulations combining multisensory cues to elicit targeted emotional states. Whether these VR emotion pods will ever replace an honest stack of pancakes, researchers still debate the ethics and efficacy of synthetic nostalgia. As you drift back to the present, you note how the simple act of watching syrup drip has grounded your attention so fully that time itself seemed to slow. That deceleration resonates with mainstream mindfulness research, which shows that focused attention on sensory processes like smell, taste, or movement can induce flow states and reduce stress biomarkers. In this gentle dance of drop and dish, you've entered a micro-meditation, your mind anchored by the syrup's constant, unhurried cadence. You gaze at the almost empty syrup bottle, its glass walls speckled with residue remnants of a ritual nearly complete. Each streak of amber marks a previous moment of anticipation, a droplet that once held your full attention. Those streaks feel like the etchings of memory itself, testimony to dozens of breakfasts past, each one a chapter in the story of comfort foods and family chats. A light quip drifts in your mind: if memories were as sweet as this maple, I'd never forget a birthday. Yet you appreciate how impermanent recollections can feel more precious precisely because they fade, like the last sweet drop sliding off your plate. You rise and carry the plate to the sink, savoring the sight of a single final droplet clinging to the rim before it falls, an echo of the morning's first drop, reminding you that every ending reflects a beginning. In that moment, you feel gratitude for the layered science: viscosity, surface tension, capillary action, impact dynamics, wetting, rheology, tribology, thermodynamics, and neurocognition, all united in this humble pancake ritual. You dim the lights further, letting the kitchen recede into gentle shadow while the memory of slow syrup drips warms your mind. Tomorrow's stack may taste just as sweet, but the quiet science you've savored today will carry you into the next week with renewed mindfulness and calm. Let your thoughts unfurl like the final ripples on your pancake's surface, each sweet echo softening into a gentle hum of memory. You have traced syrup's every journey from golden beads forming on glass, through slender filaments sculpted by tension, to steady falls shaped by gravity and air, and finally to rippling impact and porous absorption. In each phase, quiet physics whispered secrets: viscosity holding time in place, surface tension crafting liquid art, capillary forces weaving fluid into texture, and neural circuits binding taste to emotion. Now, as the kitchen's ambient glow dims around you, let those scientific marvels dissolve into a balm of contentment. Feel your breath slow to match syrup's measured drips, your heartbeat synchronizing with each remembered moment of warmth and flavor. Release the day's lingering tensions into the memory of sweet anticipation, allowing your mind to drift toward restful shores. In this hushed interlude, Embrace the sweetness of simple rituals and the marvels hidden within the everyday. You need not remember every detail forever. The magic lies in the moment. Each drop a tiny universe of wonder that, once tasted, enriches your inner landscape. Carry this calm forward, knowing you can return whenever you wish to sip on science's gentle syrup. Now, settle your head, soften your gaze, and drift into sleep, cradled by gentle science and cozy memories. Sweet dreams.